What's going on, producers? DJ Bod's back again. We're going to jump straight into this. Today we're going to be talking about techno and how to make a basic techno beat and maybe some 303s and that kind of thing. Now, just a disclaimer, techno is very subjective and it's all about creating a vibe. So I might not sound like your favorite artist, but I did do a lot of research into techno. I watched a lot of full-blown techno workshops and from various sources. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So first I want to talk about the kick. This is what the kick sounds like. It's made of 2 layers and it's being sent to a delay bus. So let's listen. So that's what the kick sounds like. The kick is made of 2 parts. One's low end, which is the thump, and the top end, which is just a click, because I didn't like the original sound of the normal kick. The normal kick's just got rolling off the highs, and the top kick is just rolling off all the lows to about 800 hertz. And they're both going into a bus where I'm gluing them down, giving them some drum bus saturation, making sure they're in mono, overdriving them a little bit, and using a bit of EQ. So here's what it sounds like without all of the processing on the bus. This is what it sounds like without all the processing, and this is what it sounds like after processing. So it's basically giving it a lot of drive, saturation, and level, and cutting out some nasty frequencies down there in the muddy range, which is probably around 250 hertz to 300, depending on the sample. And then these are getting routed to this delay here, this kick. I called it, well, I started with a reverb and then I decided to actually go to delay. So what's basically happening is going through an overdrive. So here's the delay. We'll put the clicker on so you know it's the delay. So without all this processing, it's just the normal thing. The main part we're using here is the delay to delay the kick, like a techno kick would be delayed. So it's delayed at these settings, and then I'm running it through an amp to give it some distortion, and a lot of it's giving it a lot of volume as well, and then it's running through a low pass, and then I'm cutting some nasty frequencies here where the kick sits. So it's really got that warehousey vibe that we're going for. And then I'm compressing it without the sidechain compression. So that's what we're doing there. And then after that, we're taking the width down a bit because it was quite wide. It's hard to hear, but it definitely makes a difference. And then I'm just running it through another sidechain just to make sure that it's not muddying up the kick and echoing over the kick samples. Okay, next up, let's have a look at the next thing. This is this bleep bass in the intro. It's just this bleep bass in the intro. So that's just basically a Serum preset I used, that one, from the stock library. And then I'm filtering it. I'm filtering a lot of the low end out and the high end to give it like a telephone kind of effect. And sidechain. It sounds pretty good, I like it. The next things we'll talk about are the hats. So I've got a few things going on here in the hat bus. So the first thing you can hear is a Ride 909, where I've just shortened the sample a lot, taken a lot of the low end rumble out, so you can hear all that low end, and then drum bussing it, giving it some saturation and increasing its volume quite significantly. Next, I got that classic 16th hat you'll hear in a lot of techno tracks, which is this sample. You can find that in the stock Ableton library, I believe, and then I'm just taking the low end out once again, giving it some extra high end. and then the final one is the hat we want to hit down the middle, just on every off. So, which is this Evolution of Sound Hat 3 that I found from Zenworld's YouTube channel. You can go there and get a free Tech House pack, I believe. And then this is what they sound like all together again. And then on the bus, I've just got them glued, just to glue them all down into kind of one thing so they don't all sound at different volumes. And then I'm just double making sure that there's no low end still present in there for the hats. So this is what it sounds like without, and then with. You can hear some sort of brightening going on there with this compressor. Okay, next we'll talk about the 303 I've been working on. So there's actually quite a bit going on with this 303 here, so we'll solo it. So I'm just playing octaves here in the MIDI. So I'm playing in the key of E minor, so it's hitting E, and then it's on every off it's hitting the octave up. And then here at the end of the bar, I'm going to the fifth in the scale, which is the B. And then there's a lot of filtering stuff going on, but first we'll just quickly check what's on the bus. So I got a sidechain compressor, an EQ, nothing really fancy, and I was checking it in mono, but it turns out it already was in mono, and I was checking if I could send it, delay it and make it really wide, but I don't think it didn't end up sounding too good. So to make a 303, basically, I grabbed two sawtooth oscillators, and I ran them through a filter, and then I used a filter envelope to modulate that filter with quite a high resonance, some drive and some fatness, and you can see the parameters here, the settings I used for the envelope, and then I am running the sustain and release to macro 1. Just so like when I'm wanting to open it up, I can do both at the same time, which makes it easier to use an automation lane really. And then on macro 2 is I believe that's the filter. And that's just opening it up at the end of a few, like let's say 4 bars or 2 bars, whatever I was doing in the automation. So yeah, just to give it some really nice movement and kind of like be able to stretch it out with the... So yeah, that's pretty much it. The 303 is super simple. And then I got some extra rhythmic percussion in this second bit of the first chorus that I've been working on. So I got this snare. Which is just kind of really hitting in the stereo field, and it's used rhythmically with this 909 clap. And as you know, you can never just use, well, you can if you want to. I mean, it's completely up to you, but I don't like using, claps in techno always on the second kick, but just because it's techno, it's about creating a vibe. It's really... So I've got this one clap that's actually sitting off. It's just hitting before that third clap is meant to hit, like it would in house, where it's every, you know what I mean? And that's just because it's techno, and you can do whatever you want really. And then you can see there's just a bit of EQ. I didn't need to do much with it. And then it's just kind of, those are two are working in tandem with a sample from one of my other songs. The sample was from Mr. Hyde, which is one of my tracks you can find on my Spotify, DJ Bods. So I basically took this bass and I tuned it to work with the three, whatever the 303 was hitting on. So I'll close down some of these. I've consolidated them now, but that's basically and that's hitting on the same notes that is hitting. So that's hitting on the B, which would be +7 from the E, which this was the original sample was hitting on. And that's pretty much it so far. I mean, what else was I working on? I was working on some atmospheric stuff. But basically, that's it, guys. I'll play the track one more time for you, just so you can get a vibe of the whole thing. Techno is very experimental, and it takes many forms. It's really up to you how you bring something new to the table, like any genre. But techno, you can break a lot more rules than, say, house or like progressive house or electro and stuff like that. But yeah, this has been DJ Bods. My socials are in the description, and like and subscribe if you learned something, and give me some suggestions in the comments what you'd like to see me do next or cover next. Thanks, guys. Take it easy. I'll leave a link down low so that you can get this project and all the samples. So let's do it.